Okay, VC. This is Melvin Ramon. Let's talk about music. First up, I want to start talking about a series of reissues I've been picking up uh, by the band Dinosaur Jr. Uh, Cherry Red Records in UK has started releasing all of their major label albums. These are very nice packages, come with extensive liner notes, cool picture sleeves. I'm not a big colored vinyl fan, but for those who are, these are coming on colored vinyl. That one's green, of course. This album, the first up here, is Green Mind. This was their first major label album. At the time, this was late in high school for me. Dinosaur Jr. were absolutely like the dudes. I think I mentioned that before when I talked about Sabado. They were, the band of the moment, so to speak. This was their first album where they had, there was a first in a couple of different ways. Original bassist Lou Barlow had left, and it was their first for a major label. At the time it came out, a lot of people thought it was a little bit, it was under a lot of pressure from being the first major label release, and without the original members. So people tended to think of it as a little bit of a disappointment. I've actually always really enjoyed it. It starts out with The Wagon, which is one of their best songs, and it's a more varied album than previously. You get to hear a little more of their folk rock side. Pretty great stuff on this one. This is actually an album that I have owned I owned on cassette and then CD, and I've previously owned a vinyl pressing of it, and I went with this one. I would have skipped it for this run, but it does include some bonus tracks that are, to me, kind of key. It includes the Whatever's Cool With Me EP, which Whatever's Cool With Me, the song, is one of my very favorite songs by them. And the rest of the tracks on that are pretty great. And that's one of the great things about this reissue run, is that they are including a lot of really cool bonus tracks. Next up is Where You Been. This was the second major label album. At the time it came out, I had sort of thought of this as an album. I had thought, maybe a little bit of the fire had gone out of his playing a little bit. That his being Jay Mascis, the main guy in the band. On this record, he plays with a lot of collaborators. Green Mind is actually mostly him. He even plays most of the drum parts and the bass for most of the record. This one, they had gained a full-time replacement bass player for Lou Barlow in the form of Mike Johnson, who had also performed on some Mark Lanigan solo albums and was a pretty great sideman. As time's gone on, I found that there's a lot of really cool variation on this. They used, I think, a lot of the studio, major label studio time very nicely. They included there's a lot of layers, a lot of things like a timpani and some other orchestration and instruments in there that sound very, very nice. And what I thought was the songwriting and kind of a rut has grown in time to me to seem pretty subtle. Once again, there's some great B-sides on this one. I have always particularly liked the cover for this. The cover art is by a guy named Angry Johnny. He has a band called Angry Johnny and the Killbilles. Let's see if I can do this without the glare there. I'll just take this out. They're a Massachusetts band. They are kind of somewhere between Uncle Tupelo and the Cramps, kind of a country, a raging punky country kind of sound with a lot of kind of horror movie type stuff going on sonically. Songs about cutting people up with chainsaws and stuff. He's a very vivid songwriter. I would love it if somebody would eventually put that out on CD, or on vinyl, but it has only ever existed on CD. Anyway, that was his cover art, and he did some pieces for the band a couple other times. I that I just wanted to bring that up. Don't want to get on too big of a tangent. One more here. This is Without a Sound. This was their highest charting album. It does contain their biggest hit in Feel the Pain. I happen to feel like there's another Angry Johnny piece there, more extensive liner notes. This one's on yellow vinyl. Just a second here. I will pull that out, show you guys. Right there. I happen to feel like this is their weakest release, unfortunately. It's still not a bad album by any means, and there's a lot of neat stuff going on, a lot of great moments. I'm still glad I picked this up because the bonus tracks are fantastic, and like I said, it's a pretty great record overall. There is one more in the series, their final major label album, called, oh god, now I'm totally blanking on it. It's not Without a Sound. It is, I'm losing it. You'll look it up somewhere. That album it actually didn't get a lot of attention, and unfortunately I happen to be part of the problem, apparently. It is, turned out I heard it a little while ago, and it's a really great, streamed it a little while ago, and it's a really great album. There includes some contributions from Kevin Shields of My Bloody Valentine, which I think really helps it out. Man, I am spaced out tonight. Sorry about that, guys. There's a lot of really great songs on the record. Once again, there's some cool bonus tracks on it. I definitely recommend not skipping it. Hopefully it'll get kind of a new life from this reissue series. It is the only one I have never owned, and I still don't. I've been picking these up one at a time to kind of pace them out a little bit and give them a little chance to breathe on my turntable. I'll be picking that one up shortly. This past week, did go see the Melvins and Red Cross. I picked this up at the show. Excuse me. I drop stuff all over the place. This is a little cheapy $5 CD version of, it's got the Melvins tracks from a split EP they're selling with Red Cross. It's a fun little EP, nothing too exciting. Did really enjoy the show. The Melvins always deliver live. Red Cross are also fantastic. Dale from the Melvins is playing drums with Red Cross, and Steven from Red Cross is currently the bass player in the Melvins. So that's, as a friend of mine pointed out, two guys in their 50s doing double headers every night, and man, you wouldn't know it. They were just tons of energy. It was a great show. Great to see a lot of people at the show. I really had a great time. If you get a chance to catch them, absolutely do it. Another release, a recent pickup. This is a collaborative effort from Uniform in the Body. The title is Everything That Dies Someday Comes Back. That's a Bruce Springsteen lyric. That doesn't tell you much about what's in it, though. This is, the Uniform is, they're usually cited as an industrial band. I don't know much about them. It comes with this giant poster here of the cover artwork in a different light or something similar. Includes some information. Whoops. Grab the download card there. The Body are in a sludge. They're sometimes cited as a bit industrial. They do have some electronic elements going on. Doom, experimental type of band. This is, along those lines. It's experimental. It's heavy, atmospheric pieces. Actually kind of crushingly heavy. Really interesting stuff. I'm really glad I picked it up. This is their second collaborative effort. The Body have also collaborated with Full of Hell and with Thou a number of times. They seem to do a lot of collaborative efforts, and they're always really interesting stuff. The Body are a duo, so it kind of just fills out a sound. Really enjoy this. If you like, heavy atmospheric stuff, I definitely recommend it. This is going to wind up being kind of a heavy music sort of update, which wasn't really intentional, but hey, here we go. We're at time-wise. Okay. This next one is a recent release from a band called The Who. Not that The Who. It's spelled H-U. This is an album, I think it's pronounced Garrig. This is a combination of Mongolian folk music and metal. more of a doomy, slow, kind of meditative thing when you combine it with the Mongolian music. Really interesting stuff. If you have any taste for world music and metal, it's a really great thing to check out. It's really not like a lot of other stuff. Some people I know have compared it to hailing, or hailing. I don't know if that's. I could see that, but it's still its own thing. Very unique. It's going to wind up near the top of my best of the year list, I think. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if I can get this to show up on there, but there's actually a pretty cool sketch. I don't think that's going to wind up showing up on that camera. But there's a pretty cool sketch on side 3 of the record there. Look into that if you're looking for something different. The Who, the H-U. Pretty interesting record, I would say. Next up, another round of reissues. This is the first one I picked up. I already have Feedbacker, but this is by Boris. It's on Third Man Records. Boris are an experimental Japanese band. They've put out a ton of records. They sound different mostly from record to record. Sometimes they will kind of explore sound for a couple of records. Obviously, this is a homage to a Nick Drake album. This is a little bit more variety into their sound. They started out doing drones similar to the style of bands like Sun and Earth, Sun O and Earth. Long, slow pieces where the drums would start in after 8 minutes. They've also, mixed in that sound with J-pop. They've done albums mixing, kind of heavy doom music with doom or sludge sounding stuff with like My Bloody Valentine type shoegaze elements. They were doing that before Death Heaven and others were adding shoegaze elements to metal. They change it up every time. A very interesting band. Those are the two that Third Man has reissued are two of the classics, and these are the first time they've been widely available in the U.S. So great records to start with if you're interested in exploring that. Next up here, I have the Dave Rawlings Machine, Nashville Obsolete. It's a nice little folk record. Dave Rawlings is known for his work with Gillian Welch. Nice thing to put on in the morning when you're feeling low. I have picked up a promo CD actually of the new Exhumed record. I think I'll be getting that on vinyl soon. This is, I don't know, grindcore, I think, maybe death metal, death grind. I don't know, I just enjoy putting this on when I was driving along to it. Fantastic stuff. One other thing I recently picked up, Ween, live in Chicago on DVD and CD. It's from a concert in Chicago, obviously, kind of later on in their career. It's another one that has only ever available on CD. I really wish they would put that out on vinyl. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I guess that's about all I have today. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below and have a great night.